Right, hopefully we are on. I'm sorry for being a little bit late. I have no idea if this is actually going out live, because my laptop is still not loading a browser, so I can't even see if we are live because I can't see the chat. So bear with me for a second. Horrendously late. Do apologise. Over there, YouTube. Usually, what I do, I'll run the chat and channel analytic type thing on the right hand side on me laptop. But my laptop, for all it's been switched on for about 10 minutes, still won't load a browser. So I am just so I can see that there's anybody watching and this is going out live. I just need to get into the back end of this. I'll just have to run it off my PC. So hopefully it won't be detrimental to the stream. Fingers crossed anyway. I really hope this is going out. We'll soon find out in a minute when I get into this. Is it saying it's on? Is it on? Oh, it says it's on. Oh, there's people watching. Thank you very much. Chat. Need to pop chat out. Put chat out of the way. Scroll that down so I don't have to look at myself, which is always good. That there. Right, I think we may be ready to start. So sorry about that. Bloody nightmare. But that's what you get when you decide to, at 6:45, I'll have a quick game of Battlefield 5. Which it didn't actually finish until 25 past by the time we got to the end, so it was a 5-minute rush to get the lights all set up and everything going, but hopefully we are there. Hi Enrique, thank you very much for watching, coming along tonight. If anybody else is out there watching, do please say hello in chat. It's good to know that there's people out there. So yeah, I completely forgot to pre-advertise something that's pre-advertised before something happens. Well, it was just advertised. I'd never actually got round to putting this out on Twitter or anything either. I got the thumbnail and stuff done at about 5 o'clock this afternoon. So we are very, very late and disorganised, but that's no surprise because it's me. I am very unorganised. So what I am actually going to do today is I'm going to go back in time again, because for I think the 3rd week running I haven't been out and taken any pictures. So I've got nothing new to edit. So we are going way back in time. Well, I'm saying way back in time. We are going back to 2015, and that was the last time. Well, that wasn't the last time I was anywhere, but I went to Scotland for a bit. Hi, Ozzy. Yeah, hopefully no demons tonight. Well, you never know. I have got a couple of horses as a subject, though, in a manner of speaking. So, anyways, in 2015, I went up to Scotland with the lads on a week-long photo holiday tour type of thing. Grand time was had by all, and back then I was making ICM work back then, but with it being Scotland and it's very pretty and very dramatic and beautiful light and a lot of wet weather. It's very, it lends to drama and it lends to traditional landscape photography. So I did a lot of that and only a little bit of ICM photography when I was up there. So it was all a bit of a struggle to get ICM results, and I have dipped back into my images from back then a few times over the last few years just to see what I could get out of it. Laptop's just completely given up. Might as well shut that. And I've got a couple of images back from it. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So I thought today I would actually venture back into Scotland. That's what it's called. So going back into the archives of, I think it was May. Yeah, the end of May back in 2015. It feels like that was the last time I was out of the country. And naturally, it probably was. Have I been to Scotland? I haven't been far into Scotland ever since, anyway. I've been to Wales. That's a different country. Yeah, that was in 2016. I don't get around very much. Right, so I will just move that. I just want to make sure. It's awkward only having two screens for streaming. Because I need one screen to control the stream software. So we are actually going to, as you can see, Brexit again in the background. Still fanning on. So do pardon that being on in the background, but we'd like to know what's going on. Right. So back in 2015, one of the first stops we did was the Kelpies in Falkirk, which I don't know if you know is a sculpture, an engineered type of sculpture. I'll just show you an example. Back in this stage I was into long exposure and black and white imagery, so there was hence the look of some of these, but these are big metal sculptures, quite well known. Did a bit of fine art stuff, long exposure, you know, that kind of stuff. There's a normal picture of them. They're big structures, but I did get some ICM data of them. So let's have a look, see what I got for these. I think some of these can work. You know, there's enough detail there and enough movement in, and it was a very sunny day as well. As you can see, bright blue skies. So the sun reflecting off the metal panels will very much, excuse me, you know, bring you know big, you know, good strong edges to these subjects. Make sure we are still online. That's all right. So obviously we've got some structured kind of ones like this, where you can really tell what they are, and then very abstract movements as such. Obviously you can see I've had a play in the past, unsuccessfully, and kind of a few in the middle of the amount of movement achieved. So I think there's a good bit of data there to play with, and obviously since then my preference of how to capture a lot of this kind of data has changed to a looser, so I am probably more attracted to you know, adding in a few frames like this one on top of more structured images like this one. So it's you know, it takes a bit of balance. What did we say? Yeah, voting against that one. Right. So we will begin processing. I'm just going to flag some of these ones, just so I can find them. Oh, had the wrong window selected there. Apologies. Flag that one. Here's a good one with a bit of detail around the edges. I'm also going to pick some of these ones. That one. And obviously here, this one, you can see I've zoomed in a bit more, which I would normally do as a completely different image. I do like to shoot everything from, you know, shoot a range of shots from one position, whether that's, you know, actual physical position where I've stood in a position, or zoomed in, and if I've zoomed in a bit, then I would class that as another batch of images to blend together. I'm not one for blending together different zoom levels or different angles or even different subjects like some people do. I do try to keep things fairly similar. So let me flag those, just see if there's anything further back in these ones. Pick that one. Nice bit of detail there. Pick that one. Right. So here's one of these ones. Just gonna go through, just edit, do my usual basic edits in Lightroom first before we put it all into Photoshop, and then start all that work. Just sort out the lens corrections, detail. Just gonna reduce all the ISO noise. Probably give these a bit of more of a sharpen, because they have got a bit more of a subject to them. Some sharper edges to deal with. Basics. Landscape's not going to make much difference, is it? Maybe look to keep that slightly washed out. Don't want it going too vivid, because the blue is extremely vivid. I think I even gonna just colour balance on there. It's a bit too blue. Stick to tail. No. Stick to as shot, I think, for the white balance. It's getting a bit out of hand there. Hi Peter, good of you to join us again. Sometimes I like Tuesdays. Sometimes I don't when I'm in a rush and I've done very little prep. So, right. Sorry, I'm extremely all over the place tonight. Ill prepared as usual. I'll bring the contrast down just as there's a bit more of this. You can see as I increase contrast, it brings a lot more subject matter to these parts of the structure, rather than incorporating these parts. So I'm just going to reduce that contrast, just so it doesn't become too overbearing. I'm just going to play with these sliders. Just again, as usual, just getting something fairly leveled out. Obviously we have got some blown out spots here, but it was a very, very sunny day, even though it was Scotland. Probably open the blacks up quite a bit, and that'll give us a softer image to work with. Probably do. Just going to check dust spots. There's a bit of one there. That seems to be okay. I want to go stupid colours yet. I'll just leave it. I think we'll just leave it as edited straight away. I don't need to be adding in any weird colours yet. Yeah, stick to as was. I'll just sync all those shots, sync all those settings across those selected 6 images, and then throw these into Photoshop as layers. Oh, bloody thing. How long has it been like that? Oh, this is what happens when I don't bloody sort myself out. I thought I had it selected. That was after that keystroke, wasn't it, that went wrong? I do apologise. I think this live stream might be one for the bin. But we'll carry on regardless for a while. We'll finish this shot anyway. Yeah, I think it was when I did that keystroke to pick the images, and then it didn't when I that affected my streaming software, not the picking of that. At which point I think I must have pressed something on t'other. Anyways, we'll carry on. I did get a bit of a warning on the streaming software there that it was a bit overloaded, so obviously it doesn't like running the browser at the same time, which is why I use the laptop all the time. Oh, what a disaster. Yeah. Not anybody watching either. Right, okay. So we will just bash on with this and call it a very quick episode, I think. We'll see what we get. At least there's you two watching. And then I think we'll just delete the episode. There's no point in this being online for anybody to watch. Right, so usual thing, gonna blend these together and just play around with the blend modes to see what comes about initially, and then we can move on. Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to go with soft light here, because I don't think, and I'm going to take some layers out as well. I am getting a warning on the streaming, so it may be that this isn't going so well. What bloody? I'm annoyed that my laptop isn't very good today. Right, gotta take out some of the, anyways. Whilst that catches up with itself, hopefully it will. Do let me know if it's just buffering or stopped. This is no use. Obviously my computer doesn't want to be running the browser as well, but I need that to run the chat, unfortunately. It's not having a happy time, I don't think. So anyways, I will continue for a little while. I'll reduce the opacity of that bottom layer. That's making quite a difference. If you all still out there, please let me know if this is coming through. Okay, I'm just getting a lot of warnings for streaming quality. So just let me know if you could. Thank you. Leave that one off as well. Bring that across just to give it a bit more definition on the edge. Alright, it's just I was getting a lot of red lights saying the stream wasn't coming through well enough. So I was a bit worried in case it wasn't coming through at all. I'm going to reduce the opacity of that one as well. Well, we'll see what this is like. I think this is going to be a short episode. Too many things going wrong. Right. I'm going to crop off that edge. I'm just going to knock this this blue back for the new layer. I'm going to warm it up with an orange. Paste that new layer in. Hue. I'm just going to scale this opacity back. I think maybe drop in a yellow rather than orange. Let's go that more way, a little bit more yellowy. Might be more of a... It almost gives you more of a black and white feel, but there is a hint of colour there as well. What I might be a little bit worried about is there's a bit of banding in here, but hopefully that'll not have too much an effect. Drop that to maybe there. Right, it is pretty dark up here, which I'm a little bit concerned about. Maybe if I can just use a mask on this layer, because turning it off, you can see you've got a lot more give in the corners here. But with it on, it goes very, very dark. This is the important word. Yeah. Cooper Amendment's been voted down. It's a bit of a bugger. So they can still go on full bore with their no deal Brexit, the buggers. Right, back onto this. I'm going to mask this out. That's a bit better. Just take the top of that image out. Right, and I think we'll just crack on now. We'll stick this into Analog Effects Pro. Turn it upside down, see what happens. Come on, computer. So slow. Everything's slowed down tonight. Do apologise. Right. Obviously looking down the presets just to see if there's anything pleasing straight away. Might be one of these images that, because it's so central in the frame, using my presets on it maybe it just won't do much to it, and it is fairly washed out. So I'm thinking already it might not work. Might be one of these ones that Had I not been doing it live, I would have just abandoned it, gone and put the kettle on. Which is kind of how I feel like doing anyway. Right, so I am thinking possibilities. Is that washed out one there? This one. That one looks fairly interesting from a distance. And this dark one looks pretty nice. And it retains the detail in it as well. Let's try this one. Hi Beatrice. Welcome to a disastrous episode. And yeah, I do apologise for the telly being on a minute, but it is one of them important kind of days. Well, kind of semi-important days. Double exposure. Maneuver this around to see how things look. Let's bring this over. The balance of the image as well. So I'm just looking to make this very, I was going to say spectral, but not just subtle and soft and not, nothing over the top. I don't particularly want to go too far, so it's like just purely dark on one side and purely light on the other, like this, like it's kind of looking at like that. It's very much just a case of getting the positioning worked out to the point where I like it, which is always the hard bit. So hard to please. Excuse me. Just working on positioning over this double exposure, which is taking a bit of time and a bit of thought and a bit of consideration. Sometimes these things don't just come together straight away. I suppose it's like as if you're out in the field doing normal landscape photography, you are just trying to find that angle on that stone in the foreground. This is me deliberating. Not exactly riveting viewing, is it? Something like that. I'm not too bad on there. See all the controls I can bring out. That's not the one I was meaning. Adding a bit more detail, so it kind of gives it things a little bit more of an edge, which maybe means I can increase the strength of the second exposure. Something like that. It kind of gives the impression that the sun really is shining on it, and maybe there's a storm cloud behind, rather than bright blue skies like there was in reality. Vignette. I'm always hard on myself, Peter. It's the only way I feel like I can improve. Something like that. Without lens being there, I just feel there's a bit. It gives a bit more of an impression of that second sculpture in the background. Let's just then go on the strength. Just playing with the sliders. Do we go very light, like so? That's almost, really quite sketch-like. But then again, does that then lose too much of that sketch in the foreground, that the sculpture that's nearer to me? Does that make sense? So I think that might work like that. It does give you that soft kind of aged feel, doesn't it? Again. And then it's down to colour. What do we do with the colour? I quite like it like that. Just a case of strength, boosting the strength, starting to go well weird. Yeah. Just have that halfway. Don't want it washed out too much. Although I can get away with it. And then there's not too much white in that foreground. This is the one I'll probably cock it all up on. I want to go to change all the levels and curves and keep them whites very on the warmer side of things. Red just adding a. That's fine, I think. Kind of sketch-like, isn't it? He says, hopefully. Almost like a light pencil sketch where, you've shaded around something, around the subject you're sketching. It's like sketching in negative, isn't it? So the paper weight, the white of the paper is the subject, and you've shaded everything else down. Kind of got that kind of feel. Not too bad. And crop wise, I'm just wondering, it does give that impression of like that stormy sky up in the top right, which I think I may enhance more in the next process. Yeah, that's not. I mean, there's not a huge amount of difference. I just create, filling in short shadow and creating darker splashes to then enhance the subject, isn't it? So that seems to work. Right, I'm quite okay with that. We'll stick that back into Photoshop. We may well be pulling this episode back from the brink. May being the operative word. I think it's still pretty terrible. Right, and yeah, I think I'm going to try to enhance this darker patch here. I think we'll do that in Viveza. I think I'll just alter the entire image and then just mask that area back in. God knows what them idiots are going to do. Right, now that's loaded up. Increase the contrast. Brightness down a touch, not too much though. Maybe I just want to be very selective with the structure just around this part here. I'm going to drop in it a point there and boost the structure. Just a few, I'm saying a few percentages, nearly 20%. But I might actually drop that on its nose just to see what that does. It's darkening it down quite a bit, that, isn't it? I think we still need brightness down. Maybe it's just a smaller movement on the contrast. I think I boosted the contrast a bit too much. On that point, I might increase the contrast, and then that'll give more definition to that nose and mouth on the sculpture. Hopefully. Yeah, so there we go. Seems to be a bit better. And then I can just use this layer. This is a separate layer, and I can just blend that back in. No mention of bunny rabbits, Peter. Did you see the face in it, actually? Ozzy pointed it out to us. If you look at last week's image, you've got the demon on the right hand side, but right in the middle there's a guy with a hook nose, and he's kind of glancing back. I only spotted it the other day, once after I'd posted it on Twitter. So I'll bring that up. I'll show that in a minute. And they're not bunny rabbits; they're horses, so it's different. We're staying in reality this week. All right, take it from me. Reality. Right, just flick this layer on and off, just to tune my eye in to see what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I'm just gonna stick a negative mask on there, and then I can just paint in where I want. Maybe it's at 60% opacity brush. And just paint some of this back in. What this result is. Oh, but you would have thought I would have voted to extend it in case they didn't get a bloody deal. Flaming politicians. Anyhow, that's a problem for Britain, not the rest of the world. And just darken this down at the bottom. Just to give that a bit more definition, a bit more depth. Quite liking that. And then crop wise, I can maybe, maybe crop to the, this kind of crop in Lightroom once we're done. Bloody phone, go away. So I think that looks alright. How many minutes have we gone? Just a short episode. Yes, a short episode tonight. Right, so I think that's, I'll just save that out. Save. Give this is when the stream will crash again, because it'll need the resources to save it. So yeah, I think that this images work reasonably well. Hopefully pulled the stream back out of the fire, that it wasn't a complete disaster. This to bloody save, and then I'll do the crop in Lightroom, because that's what I always do. I see some people editing on YouTube, like usually they're traditional landscape photographers, and the first thing they do is crop. Well, I know if all you're doing is working in Lightroom, that's fine because you can undo your crop at any time. But if you're going so far and then putting it into Photoshop and then bringing it back and thinking, oh, I wish I had an extra inch or a little sliver of something, I would always be cropping. Cropping is always my last thing I do. Right, and we'll yeah, take that back in the light. We're back in Lightroom. Give that 3 stars so I remember where it is. And I think I will probably get a couple of crops out of this one. So straight away I'll create a virtual copy. And I think we'll go a fairly narrow one. So my favourite 9x5 crop is maybe not going to work this time. Because I would like to come into something like that. But I need a bit more top and bottom, so maybe 3x2 is the kind of the way. I might need to steal a bit more on the left, something like that. That's a nicer. There's a bit more balance. It's the subject a bit more to the left. Yeah, I don't know why. But this kind of off reminds us of somebody's painting of Stonehenge. I don't know why. Obviously, apart from it being a bloody sculpture or monument or whatever. And it must have been like a stormy sky picture. That's maybe why that's coming across. But anyways, it'll have been something I've seen. That's what's making me hark back to that. So yeah, the other crop I was going to do. Which one did I do? I'm forgetting which one. Working on this one, I will do square crop, I think, for Lightroom, not Lightroom, but Instagram, and we'll go something like that. Go very much to one side because to me, you know, the good part of the image is this darker sky, you know, darker stormy sky. Even though it wasn't stormy, it was a nice bright blue sky there, and something like that. We'll do there, yeah. Make sure everything's still going. Yep, just about. I think that looks not too bad. I think maybe I would. I still haven't got used to where everything is in Lightroom since I moved it all. Just brighten it a touch. You know, when it comes to, I'm almost thinking about printing. How I would print this, I think I would brighten it quite a bit. I mean, that's nearly another half stop brighter. Because obviously when you print, it's going to get duller. I think, as you can see, I'm mimicking with the white background. That'll be better. I think we'll do the same on this one. Just to see. Obviously you can't see as much white background. So it wasn't quite as apparent as when I was with the square crop. So maybe it's not, I mean before it was that far, but maybe it's half of that. Yeah, just a touch like that. I think that will probably do. Nice little image. Nothing world beating, but you know, it's something to post on Instagram in a little bit. Because I had to, with me not being out much, I have felt like I've barely posted anything recently. So I've kind of gone quiet on social media. I've just not had nothing to say, nothing to show. So there you go. Just kind of lost it all. And my car's still broken, so I'm still not going to be getting out anytime soon. And it's going to be a bit snowy this week, so not be out much this week either. So it may well be archives again next week as well. So if you've managed to stick with me for this long, sort this bloody screen out. Yeah, so if you've managed to stay with me this long, thank you very much for your dedication and your support and your eyes for the evening. I do very much appreciate it. And even though I am terrible at this presenting malarkey and the technology behind it all, I am very, very much appreciative that you do come and you do stick around, and I really do hope you are learning stuff from this. But it means a lot. So if you have enjoyed it, by any small chance that you have, do leave a thumbs up on the video below, on the thingy below. Leave a comment if you wish, saying Andy, you bloody hopeless or whatever. That's always good. You know, it helps if you leave comments and stuff. Chat's great during the live stream, but it's the after stuff as well. All helps. Discoverability and all that kind of stuff. Although after the start, I'm sure they wouldn't stick around anybody that came along. So again, just thank you very much for watching tonight. Hopefully next week it'll probably be archives based again, but hopefully I'll have everything set up and working next week, and not have that, not have the wrong screen on at the wrong time and all that kind of stuff. So sorry about that. So until next Tuesday, I presume there's nothing between now and then that's going to upset things. We'll see you then. Thank you very much for watching again, and please do come back. All right, bye.